The government has announced an extra £3.5 billion to pay for the removal of flammable cladding from high-rise flats in England. More than 3.5 years after the Grenfell Tower fire, there are still at least 700,000 people living in blocks with dangerous cladding. Ministers have been under considerable pressure to do more to help. Flat owners say while the extra money is welcome, it doesn't address any of the other fire safety issues they're having to pay millions of pounds for. Our business correspondent Sarah Corker has this report.
I'm bankrupt. A lot of other people are on the way to going bankrupt.
Caught up in Britain's growing cladding crisis, thousands of people are trapped living in unsafe flats.
It's not our fault. We're not to blame for this.
They're now facing life-changing bills.
People across the country are crying out for help.
In Manchester, Ben's building has multiple fire safety faults. His repair bill alone runs into tens of thousands of pounds.
We don't know where we're going to get that money from. We as leaseholders feel like we're just at the short end of this horrible, horrible mess where we're just not being protected by the government like they promised us that they would.
Today, the government announced an additional £3.5 billion for the Building Safety Fund to remove cladding for tower blocks over 18 metres. For buildings under that height, there'll be a new loan scheme with repayments capped at £50 a month per leaseholder. And to force the industry to contribute, there'll be a levy or tax on developers which build future high-rises.
This exceptional intervention amounts to the largest ever government investment in building safety. We believe in home ownership, and today we firmly support the hundreds of thousands of homeowners who need our help now.
And so I think this is the right judgment.
But campaigners have reacted angrily. They say loans for smaller blocks are not the answer.
We've had people in tears, people just distraught, and they don't know how they're going to see an end to this. The amount of money that they've released is not enough, and once again it doesn't cover all of the issues.
Since the Grenfell Tower fire, safety inspections on other high-rise buildings have exposed not just flammable cladding, but other fire safety problems too, including defective insulation and missing fire breaks. But there is still no government money to fix these faults, and it's flat owners who are still facing big bills.
Thangam, Debbonaire.
Labour called the proposals an injustice.
Homeowners shouldn't face bankruptcy to fix a problem they didn't cause. Unfortunately, these proposals will still leave too many people struggling and facing loans instead of being given justice.
And the Conservative MP for Stevenage said he watched the announcement with his head in his hands.
We don't believe that leaseholders should have to pay. And the very idea of loans and the way in which they were announced, it's a punch to the guts to millions of leaseholders up and down the country.
After years of pressure on the government to do more to help flat owners, this has been broadly welcomed by concerned Tory backbenchers. But those stuck in flammable flats say it's still taking too long to get a grip on this crisis. Sarah Corker, BBC News in Manchester.
Let's talk to our Deputy Political Editor, Vicki Young at Westminster. So why all this extra money now?
Well, lots of Conservatives I spoke to today say, look, these are leaseholders. We are the party that has championed home ownership. These are the kind of people we should be helping. They are in this predicament through no fault of their own. The big question, though, is who pays for this. It was very striking listening to the government today, trying to come up with a balance. Yes, there will be a levy on the industry. Leaseholders will have to come up with money in some circumstances. They don't want the entire bill to fall on the taxpayer, many of whom, of course, couldn't afford to buy houses themselves. There's also a question, I think, of how long this has all taken. A pattern has emerged throughout this, and that is that the government starts to try and address one issue. They try to look at public housing, then it moves to private housing, one type of cladding, then another. Fire safety aspects, which aren't even covered by this today, which do need to be sorted. I think the scale of this really has gone beyond anything any minister would have thought when they first started really trying to right the wrongs of Grenfell. So I think, yes, a significant intervention by the government today, but the campaigning certainly will not stop here.
Vicki Young, thank you.